Good evening. I hope you're enjoying a pleasant Sunday night. Hello from St. Peter's in Hove. Here I am talking about funerals. It's day 12. There's an awful lot to say about funerals, you've noticed. Perhaps this is really dragging on, maybe. Hope not. Why I want to talk about the actual sort of funeral service that you can have. And I think at this point, it's wise to say that we all need to think about our funerals and we all need to ensure that our wishes are carried out. There's only one way to do that, and that is either to contact a lawyer, a trusted relative, a trusted friend, or a trusted undertaker and lay out your wishes in writing. It's the only way to do it. And that will ensure that when the time comes, your funeral wishes will be carried out. Incidentally, you need to put it in writing and you need to put it in a place where somebody will find it after your death when it's needed. Because it does happen, it's happened to a friend of mine, that she organised her father's funeral and then only afterwards she was clearing out his desk and she found his funeral wishes. And to her distress, she found out she hadn't really carried them out exactly. She'd approximated. So that's really important. This same friend said, I didn't realise that organising a funeral could be so difficult. It's like having to organise a wedding, but you've only got 1 week to do it in. So there's that, isn't there? So if you leave everything organised, then your heirs won't have to worry about it. It'll make things much easier for them. And what do you need to organise? Well, here we go. First of all, if you're a Catholic, and I'm presuming most of you who are listening to me now probably are, you want to see what's on offer, so to speak. Now, there are three things that you can have. One, you can have a Catholic funeral in a crematorium. That takes about 20 minutes. There's a special rite laid down for it, and it's the simplest option. It's what's called direct crem, but not direct cremation. The body will be taken into the crematorium chapel. A priest will be in attendance. There will be various prayers and readings, and then the body will be committed for cremation. The alternatives are to have a service in church followed by burial or cremation. The service in church will either be a Requiem Mass or a liturgy of the word. That is to say, like a Requiem Mass, but without the Eucharist celebrated. It'll just be readings and then the prayers of commendation. Whereas a Requiem Mass is a Mass in the presence of the coffin, followed by prayers of commendation. So that is the choice you have before you. There's no difference in price as far as I can work out between the three. It's true a Requiem Mass is longer than a funeral service, liturgy of the word, only marginally longer by about 10-15 minutes. The funeral service, liturgy of the word, might be more suitable if there are going to be many non-Catholics present. But for people who are Catholics and who have a congregation present, which may be the parish congregation as well as various friends and relatives, the Requiem Mass is surely the gold option, the gold standard. That really is what we should all want, to be remembered at the altar of the Lord. So a Requiem Mass is what we want. Now, therefore, I think in one's wishes, one just should say, I wish my funeral to be a Requiem Mass in my parish church, conducted by the parish priest or his delegate, to be followed by either cremation or burial at such and such a place, and then specify. That seems to be the best thing to do, to make it absolutely clear that you want a Requiem Mass. Now, what is a Requiem Mass? Why do we have Requiem Masses in the Catholic Church when, for example, the celebration of the Eucharist is not always the key thing that happens at a funeral in other Christian traditions? As far as I'm aware, it's unusual in the world of the Reformation and even in the world of the Orthodox to have a Requiem Mass, to have a Eucharist at a funeral. But for us, it's the norm, a Eucharist at a funeral. Why? Because our tradition is a long one and it goes back to the earliest days of the Church, when a body was buried in the catacombs and then the agape took place over the tomb, the love feast of the Christians. And that is the origin of the Requiem Mass, the funeral banquet, the agape, the Eucharist celebrated on the tomb of the person who has died, either just after they've been entombed or on the anniversary of their death. There's plenty of pictorial evidence of this in the catacombs themselves. And quite often the catacombs were decorated with frescoes showing people having banquets, looking happy on couches in the afterlife. The afterlife was seen as a banquet in the presence of God, and the Eucharist was a banquet in the presence of God as well in the catacomb. And that was more or less the very first Requiem Masses, right in the early years of the Church in the first centuries in Rome. Well, that's enough of that. I'll be back later in subsequent days on Monday, and I'll see you then. Bye.